Hey y'all, welcome to the Q Spot Podcast with host Quabila Jones. Be prepared to laugh, cry, and take notes as we dive into each discussion. Stay tuned. With special guest Shera Smith discussing caring for your crown. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Q Spot Podcast with my special guest, Miss Shera Smith, or is it Mrs.? I'm sorry, I never asked it.
You said it right. You said it right.
All right, and the title of this episode is caring for your crown. And in this case, your crown is your hair and your scalp, ladies. You know, some women put a lot of emphasis in their hair. With me, I've been fussing with mine, but it's gonna be what it is. But there are some women who don't have the luxury of having hair, and so they have to care for their scalp. And there are some women who choose to, be bald, and there's some women who are bald by circumstance. So we're definitely going to get into all of that. Miss Shera is a certified trichologist, so I can't wait to dive into this discussion. I've heard this term, but it's like, unless you really work in the industry and you do the work and you know people that are affected directly, it's a term that can go over your head. But I want to first read your introduction so that people get to know a little bit more about you, and so we can dive into this discussion. Okay. All right, so Ms. Shera Smith is a native of West Helena, Arkansas. She is a 1994 graduate of Central High School in Helena, Arkansas. Shera was blessed with the gift of styling hair at an early age. Cutting and styling was a favorite while using paper cutting scissors.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that. She later decided to pursue a career in the beauty industry and became a licensed cosmetologist in 2005 and a licensed cosmetology instructor in 2008, where she graduated from the Phillips County Community College of the University of Arkansas in Helena, Arkansas. Shera has such a passion for hair that she felt the need to know more. This is how Holistic Aesthetics Inspiring Restoration Center Incorporated, which is HAIR Hair, started. She decided to attend trichology school and be on the Arkansas's first certified trichologist, specializing in the scientific study of the hair and scalp, as well as the diseases and disorders of the hair and scalp. She gained her studies for the National Trichology Training Institution in Stockbridge, Georgia, where she received an accredited diploma and certification to be a trichologist. She not only is a hairstylist, instructor, teacher, but also a hair and scalp specialist. She will help you get to the root of the problem, literally. If you are suffering with any type of hair loss or scalp issues, Shera Smith at Hair can help, offering a wide range of services to help with your hair and scalp needs. All right, so I really pray this information is something that all you women need and you pay attention to, take notes. And if not, please let her know. I'm sure she'll be happy to have a conversation with you either way.
Yes.
Whatever your issues are. All right, and so let's go ahead and dive into this conversation. Now, we got to go back a little bit, talk about the fun. Okay, you said you guys started with paper cutting scissors.
Yes. So of course, I was like 10 years old, and I just was loving just messing with hair. My dolls, my friends in the neighborhood, they would literally let me practice on their hair. Yeah. And I would take my mom's paper cutting scissors and I would cut their hair and I would style it with my electric curling iron. And I would curl it with the electric curling iron and style it with a fork.
Okay.
Yes. So, yeah. And from there, it just was like something that I felt like I just love doing. So hair has always been with me. It's just, something I couldn't get away from. And and I love it. I really do.
And one thing that I wouldn't say I hate, that's a strong word. I dislike is when I was younger, I grew up in that rural area. I grew up in Mariana. So
Okay.
I'm too familiar with West Helena. But when I was growing up, my hair is, what it was like it is now. And so I started out with my aunt pressing curling it, just to manage it. I think
Mhm.
most of us went through the whole press and curl or Jerry curl phase, and
Yeah.
then it was okay. Your hair is just too much to manage, because by the sixth grade, my hair was down here and was thick and fluffy, and they slapped a perm in it.
Right.
So then I was stuck with this image of straight was better, straight was more manageable, straight was pretty, without embracing my natural, without even being having the opportunity to embrace my natural texture. And so here I am in over 40, finally, for the past, I would say about 7 years, embracing my natural hair, even though I
Mhm.
healed it a couple times with the bleach and the cutting and the that's not the story. But I am learning now how to better care for my hair, like you said, from the root to the tip.
Right.
And I think
Right.
more women could benefit from this information. So I'm definitely interested. I'm excited to dive into, the hair and scalp issues and these diseases and disorders. Some women think, okay, I'm just losing my hair. It's age. It could be something more, especially when
Yeah.
you start noticing patches that won't heal or that hair won't grow back. Like,
Right.
so let's just start with basic care of your scalp, like why that is so important.
Well, a lot of times people don't realize that the scalp is where the hair grows from.
Okay.
I remember being in cosmetology school, and they didn't really just teach us, they taught us the basics.
Okay.
They taught us about shampooing and conditioning, but there wasn't a real importance as to why all of this was done. Again, the basics was taught, and that was just that enough to get us through to pass state board. But on down the line, as a hairstylist, if you really, really have a passion for what you're doing, you really want to care for a person's hair and scalp. You want to make sure that the scalp is clean. You want to make sure that because scalp care is most important in anything. And a lot of times people are dealing with scalp issues and don't even know it.
Yeah.
We see dry, flaky scalp,
Mhm.
from time to time. And then sometimes we deal with things such as seborrheic dermatitis. I remember when I was wearing a relaxer. I wore a relaxer for years.
Okay.
And on top of wearing the relaxer, I was wearing also permanent hair color. Okay.
That was me.
Not knowing, and I didn't know all of this until I went to beauty school, that all that stuff really didn't even mix. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And developed it was like almost like a fungus basically on my scalp
Oh,
that
no.
I did not understand. I didn't know, I just knew that it was there.
Okay.
And I felt that it was coming from the chemicals that I was using on my scalp. So later on down the line, of course, years later, I decided that I was going to stop relaxing my hair.
Okay.
And when I stopped relaxing my hair, I noticed that the seborrheic dermatitis, or the buildup that I was having on my scalp, it disappeared.
Okay.
And I wasn't having headaches like I used to. Yes, a lot. I was having a lot of issues that was going on with my scalp, or just issues period, that I didn't know that was related to me getting some type of chemical that was, related to my scalp.
Okay.
So, yeah.
We hear about chemicals entering our bodies in other ways. We've heard about the different deodorants and baby powder and other things, but I never would have thought that. Um, I knew that relaxers were ultimately bad. However, I didn't even make the connection that putting chemicals on your head, on your scalp, could eventually get into your bloodstream and have an adverse effect on your overall health as well.
Yes, yes, they just did a study back here not too long ago. They actually had an article on I think it was on the Today Morning Show or something, where they talked about a chemical, not a chemical, but an ingredient
Okay.
called paraphenadienoline, PPD,
Okay.
paraphenadienoline. This is an ingredient that is in most of the hair products that we use, chemical products like the permanent hair color, relaxers, the Jerry curls, a lot of the chemical products that we use, and we don't know it. And what it is doing is causing breast cancer in mainly Black or African American women.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you think if there was a deeper study done of the Black women who were diagnosed with breast cancer and looking at their hair care trend history, there may be some more correlation linkage there?
There could be. There very well could be. And I thought about that. When I heard that, it was like a light bulb popped on, because the very day, it's crazy, because the day that I learned this information, I had a client, I was in class when this happened. I had a client call me or text me and ask me for hair color.
Okay.
And I let her know right off top, because of her health issues,
Okay.
I would not feel comfortable performing that service on her, because now, I'm coming into knowledge of this stuff, and I'm learning that a lot of these ingredients, they can coincide with these health issues that's going on in the body, that if we're not careful, they can cause some adverse reactions that we were not looking to have happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
That it makes you go back and think, in the early years of relaxers, they were loaded with lye. And then we hear all these stories about lye. And even now, and then they were making them for children that was, quote unquote, more gentle, so then some adults switched to the children's versions, which it pretty much did the same thing. And then there was the no lye relaxers, and like, well, if you take out the lye, is it really doing what it's supposed to be? So it's like, oh my God.
all of it was bad, because we found out with even the no lye relaxers, or so much the texturizers that they were using for the children, which are supposed to be a milder relaxer, right? Well, come to find out, that relaxer for the children is stronger. It's just as strong as a super relaxer. And the reason why is because they make it to where it breaks the hair down faster. It breaks the hair down faster, so it won't burn as fast on a child. But on an adult, say they were to use that, which I've seen this happen, they would use this mild relaxer because they have a sensitive scalp. Okay. So we're using this mild relaxer because we have a sensitive scalp, but we've colored our hair with a permanent color, or we've bleached it with some bleach, right? Well, later on, we're trying to figure out why our hair is breaking off and snapping off and not knowing exactly what's going on. Well, you know why? Because that particular chemical in that relaxer broke that hair down so fast to the point where it tore all of the structure of the hair out, just off, out, all of that, because it was not designed to do that.
Wow. So in your practice, do you teach women about hair follicles and maybe show them a magnified version of what a hair strand looks like and all the scientific terms that go along with it? Again, I hate that I waited this late in life to learn, but I'm learning, and I'm learning what not to do to my hair. And then we see, okay, then once you, and I don't want to say go now, once you return to being natural, embracing your natural texture, then there's a whole other list of products and chemicals and ingredients that you have to look out for, because they can be harmful to your hair as well. So like, okay, it's like you darn if you do and darn if you don't.
Right. Well, With that, I do like to educate my client. I do educate from behind the chair. Of course, with me being a licensed instructor, it's in me to educate. So I can't allow someone to sit in my chair and not discuss the issues at hand.
Okay.
Especially say I have somebody we've been dealing with. I mean, I just had this happen. I had somebody who's been natural for quite some time. She came to me some years back. She was natural then, but of course she wanted to just basically start over from where she was. She had dreads, start over from where she was and go, go from there. Well, of course, now we're treating her, trying to make sure that her hair is thickening back up and doing what it needs to do. But of course, I have to tell them there's only so much I can do. It's a team effort. Okay, because there's so many things after I show you your scalp, because I do. You asked the question about me showing, if they get the chance to see what their hair and scalp looks like. Well, I will. I have a magnifying scope that I will put on the computer and let them see for themselves up close and personal what their scalp is looking like, and also to see whether or not they have any follicles, especially if it's clean to the point to where it's almost like smooth at the back of your hand. We want to see if we can see any type of follicles that could possibly be there. So I let them see this so they'll know for themselves, okay, this is what we have to work with. Okay. And this is what we have to do to get you where you're wanting to be. But again, I can only do so much. So, and this is what you may be dealing with. It could be traction alopecia. That's one of the most common because of the braids and the pulling of the tight ponytails or wearing of the wigs or things like that. So, traction alopecia is one of the most common that we can see nowadays. Part of the reason why I got into trichology, because I figured in the next couple of years, there was going to be a lot of people that were going to need, this type of hair and scalp care. So, yeah, because I've been seeing it for years, and it's not getting any better.
One thing I saw, and I didn't even know this was a thing. Like I used to dabble in wigs, but it was mainly the ones, with the comb, nothing you had to glue down, all that. It was just temporary, slap on, half wig, whatever. And so I did braids every now and then. Like I don't like my hair fussed with a whole lot. So you're either gonna see me in a ponytail or a wash and go. With those are my go-to. But anyway, back when lace wigs like hit the scene really hard, like they've always been a thing, but when they really hit again, women were going to get their hair done, but they weren't. Like I was actually in a beauty shop when I was doing nails. I was in a shop. I watched a lady get her wig tightened or her tracks tightened without her hair being taken all the way down, and then the stylist shampooed. I want to say she shampooed first and then dried and then tight. Either way, she didn't take the tracks out, without doing all this other stuff. So I'm like, okay. But then there are some women who don't even get their hair cleaned in between. They just get either their tracks tightened down and keep it rolling. So, and then I started seeing pictures on the internet, and it was just the hair was grown out this much, and it was the dirt and the buildup and it was a lot.
Right.
And some women were getting maggots and bugs and things in their hair. Like, and I can't imagine what you've seen. Can you share some of those stories?
Well, I mean, here's one situation where I've run into. You have a lot of women who are going through maybe a depressed state,
Okay.
and they still got to carry on in life, have to go to work, have to take care of their kids, but they still want to try to look somewhat presentable.
Okay.
So they're bundling their hair up underneath this wig, and they're putting this wig on top of this bundle of hair. Now, what happens with this bundle of hair is that we have to know that hair sheds every single day.
Okay.
We're going to shed hair every single day. Okay. if you're not combing that shedded hair out of your head, then what it's doing is it's staying there. And if you're constantly putting it up and putting it up, putting it up, and not combing it out, then it's matting into the hair. I have run into some matted messes. And I
Mm.
tell you, that's one of the, I haven't seen anything outside. Now I've seen some bad scalps because I got some pictures with some people that have some bad scalps, like, well, I'm dealing with folliculitis or infection of the hair follicles. Yeah, scratching and digging in the scalp, and then they end up with these sores and stuff in your head. Yeah, I've seen all that type of stuff.
Oh,
So it's just the ringworms of the scalp. I
okay.
mean, different types of things that you would only imagine, but it's because of being unclean, being unsanitary. And we have to know that we can't, if we want our hair to be cared for and cared for properly, either we're going to do it ourselves or we got to get to somebody who's going to do it for us.
Okay. So let's talk about hair care, and
Mhm.
let's reference it to the seasons. I've heard that in the fall and winter, when the weather's cooler, you probably shouldn't shampoo your hair as much due to it becoming dry. But that's where moisturizing products come in. But again, I'm not a specialist. And then maybe in the summer, when you're sweating more, maybe you should cleanse your scalp more. And then also, we'll talk about that first. And then the second part of that is the types of products. When I started back on this natural hair journey, I heard the terms clarifying shampoo, pre, was it co-wash, and like conditioner wash. There's so many terms out there. There's so many products out there. Let's
Yes.
just start with cleansing your hair based on the season. Let's start there first.
Okay. Um, it doesn't matter what season. Shampoo, condition your hair and scalp. I mean, at least once or twice a week.
Okay.
It's not gonna hurt. It's not gonna hurt anything. Especially it, it's if you're natural and
Hmm.
it's not up, you know, because of course we as African American Black women, if we get our hair done, we want it to last for about a week, maybe 2 weeks.
Hmm.
So shampooing it within a week's time period, that's like a no-go if it's not messed up.
Okay.
But if we're wearing it down, like me, I'm short. I can literally shampoo my hair once or twice a week if I choose to.
Okay.
Okay. With no problem. As long as I'm putting my moisturizer back on it and keeping my moisture in it and making sure my scalp is oiled the way I need it to be. I don't grease my scalp where I'm blocking my follicles or anything
Okay.
like that. I think those are things that we really have to make sure that we get a clear understanding about when it comes down to scalp and hair care. Because shampooing is not gonna hurt. I remember them saying you're gonna wash all the life out your hair, especially if you shampooed it a couple times a week. No, you're not. You're just being clean.
Okay.
You're just being clean. So because you do have those ones, you got some people. I've known some people to not shampoo their hair for months at a time.
No.
That
No.
goes back to what you were saying with the weaves or the wigs or the sew-ins. They're getting the sew-ins and they come in. You think about this. They come in to get it tightened down or they get it shampooed, but they're not getting a really good cleansing of the hair and scalp. Why? Because you got tracks that's glued or sewn onto the actual braided hair that's actually, to the scalp, but you can't really get down in there like you need to because the hair is braided. So what that does is when you rinse that out, you're not getting all of that residue out of that hair.
Okay.
You're not. So of course say they keep that weave in 3 months. Okay, 3 months. Take the weave out And then you got all this new growth with all of this gook, or I say gook, debris, or oil and dirt. This is what this is underneath this. All type of product buildup that's in this hair. And it can be a problem because depending on what the scalp condition is like, it could set up some type of inflammation or infection.
Mhm. And do you feel that, and based on your experience, do you feel that women often ignore those signs, which leads to these different diseases and disorders?
Yes, yes, they do. Because here's the deal: we're itching. We itch.
Yeah.
Okay, itching is a natural thing for us. It's gonna happen whether we want it to or not. Okay. Now I can look at itching as a good thing or a bad thing. It just depends on the itch. Okay,
Okay.
because if there's a lot of product buildup on the scalp, then there's a possibility you're gonna get a major itch. And when
Okay.
you itch, you're gonna scratch.
And it's
Okay.
not just a quick, it's going to be like,
Yeah, you're gonna want to dig. And we gotta know that our hands are the nastiest parts of our bodies.
if you wear
So what
nails,
do we do? Nails. Okay. And we're scratching and digging and scratching and digging. Or we get a utensil or something and we go in there and we get the poking and we're abrasing the scalp.
okay.
Okay. We're abrasing the scalp. And we'll abrase the scalp. We'll back and we'll find another spot and scratch and dig in it. Okay. Now what you've done, basically, you're spreading what is on your hands are basically all over your head. So then
Wow.
by the time you come to me and ready to take this weave or this hair out your head or what have you, we got all this crazy stuff going on underneath all this buildup. You got sores and bumps and just dried up blood and pus, and you got all this. Yes,
Oh my
yes,
God. Oh my God.
yes, yes, ma'am. So
Okay.
that's when it can get to a point to where I say, you know what, I'm not doing this. You're gonna have to go, especially if they're not gonna take care of their scalp right. There's some things that I can do to actually treat, certain issues. But there's some things that I'm gonna say, no, ma'am, you have to go see the dermatologist because I refuse to continue to allow myself or you to do this to yourself.
Okay.
So
Now,
yeah.
I know everyone's hair is different based
Mhm.
on the texture, the type, the density, whatever, the porosity. And so different products are going to work different for different people. Like I have
Mhm.
people ask me, what do you put on your hair? Like when it's looking its best, like your hair is so pretty. What do you put on it? Well, I'm like, well, my hair
Mhm.
likes creamy products, versus more watery products. So what works for me doesn't work for everybody else. My
Right.
hair responds well to certain cleansers over others, so do you have that conversation with clients that, okay, let's do a full analysis of your hair type and, work through some potential products, suggested products, not necessarily brands. And I think some people get caught up in brands as well
Mhm.
versus the product. Like I've used products that were not designed, well, they weren't advertised for ethnic hair, but they really
Mhm.
work well on my hair. But then there are products that are advertised for ethnic hair that did
Mhm.
absolutely nothing for my hair. So, do you talk about that with your clients?
I do. We do discuss different products that they can use in between time. A lot of my clients that are natural, if they are wearing their natural hair,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time they don't have to have any type of product per se, or they do. I mean, we use
Okay.
an oil to help maintain with, but like we did some type of style so they don't have to worry with their hair. They come back to me and let me do the shampooing, the conditioning, things like that. That way they don't have to worry about that in the meantime.
Okay.
So, but if they do, I do recommend certain products for their hair texture to kind of help them to build the moisture up. To kind of keep them safe in the meantime. of course, like you said, everybody's hair is different. Um, and and we have to make sure that we understand this this thing that they talk about as far as the different the patterns, where they
Yeah.
talked about, what was it, 4C and
3B
five
and all that.
3B, all of that that right there, that was literally for the manufacturer to sell their products.
Okay.
Okay, that was for them to sell their products. That is not textbook at all. Okay.
Okay.
So of course, because it goes back to what you mentioned it earlier. You got your straight, wavy, curly, or coily hair, or kinky, coily,
Mhm.
kinky hair. Okay. And then you have your medium, fine, and coarse textures. So
Okay.
it's just, other than that, there's really no C, D, B, all of that. I don't, again, manufacturers did that so the consumers could buy their product, and that's
Mhm.
just it. So we just have to know. I really, honestly, I'm still getting into the different products that are out there.
Okay.
I don't use a lot of different products on my hair. I find what works for me, and I stick with it. And most of the time, what I'm using, I tend to recommend to my clients. I don't care if they're coily, because I'm coily. So if it works on my coily hair, I know it'll work on your, nice little wavy hair with no problem. Because I've recommended to somebody that has wavy hair, and it works just as good. So, yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to ask a little bit about products a little bit later when it comes to professional versus over the counter.
Yeah.
What we call over the counter drugstore products, but we'll
Mhm.
definitely get into that. But I want to definitely go deeper into these hair scalp disorders because, as I mentioned earlier, there are some women, either by their own doing or circumstance, they no longer have hair. And so now they have to deal with maintaining the health of their scalp. They can't just not care for it, just get up and go. They have to do something. And especially if they have, like you said, sores or abrasions or anything else happening, they have to seek care for that. So let's talk about what you've seen and what people need to know. Some of the terms they need to know. Um,
Well, of course, alopecia.
mhm.
Alopecia alone is an autoimmune disorder
Okay.
of the follicle. Okay. There could be something that's going on in the body that actually is offsetting the hair follicles and is causing the hair not to grow in that area.
Okay.
So, it's, that's one alone, alopecia in itself, for people to understand, because a lot of people don't know that alopecia, of course, there's many forms of it, because you have your traction alopecia, you have your female and male pattern baldness.
Okay.
Yes, you have diffused alopecia, you have CCCA, central citrusella alopecia. This right here is the scarring alopecia, okay, or
Hmm.
hot comb alopecia. Now,
Really?
I didn't realize until um just the other day I had gone to an appointment, a dermatologist appointment with one of my clients, and the very thing that they had diagnosed her with was, of course, we had already diagnosed her with that as well, but which was the CCCA. And I didn't realize that the hot comb alopecia could cause so much damage, not only just on the surface of the scalp, but it could go deeper. So of course you have the different layers of your scalp, but we not knowing that it can actually cause more damage deep down versus what we see on the scalp. So I was like, wow, it makes sense. It totally makes sense. Um, they didn't explain it to that extent while I was in school, but it made more sense because, of course, you have the three layers of the skin.
Hmm.
So if it goes down to the subcutaneous layer, then it's really no growing back.
So the heat from the hot comb, based on how the person uses it, can cause damage. Wow.
Basically, third-degree burns. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. We've been getting our hair pressed all those years, and
Girl.
we were getting burned and everything, and not realizing that it could have been causing damage to our hair. It was making us pretty or what have you, but at the same
Mhm.
time, later on down the line, I'm wondering why I got all these bald spots when that could have been part of my problem.
I can't even tell you how many Saturday nights I've said and got my hair pressed for church for Sunday
Mhm.
morning. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. And so just because someone has a bald spot is not one form of alopecia. It could be something else. Or if you have thin spots. Now,
Mhm.
with me, I know I have thinner edges. In mine, I say it's hereditary, but I don't know. Like, because I wasn't really big on wig wearing and braids, and so I don't know. Maybe just age. I don't know. But my mom and grandma had the same spot. So it could be just hereditary, but I don't know.
It could be. I mean, it could be. But then at the same time, Quabella, we have to think about life.
Yeah.
Life can bring about a bunch of changes. Not so much as life, medications that we may be on that could be
Mhm.
causing hair loss. And of course, like I said, with life, stress is gonna bring about so many things to the point to where your hair can be falling out, and you don't realize that you're stressed, but your hair is falling out, and this is an indication that you're possibly stressed.
Wow.
So there's so many factors that can be going on. The foods that we're eating, the lack of
Mhm.
exercise and diet, you know what I'm saying? All of those things. It could be just no water. People don't think that drinking water is very important.
I know people, young and old, they would drink sodas and juices and anything but water,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
they wonder why their body is
Out of
malfunctioning.
whack. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. I'm
Yeah.
not the healthiest person, but I do get my share of water. you know.
Right. Right.
So,
Yes.
oh my goodness. Okay, so what are some common things that you treat? Well, I hate to say common. What do you see most often? Maybe if that's even the right term. Coming to your place, to your
Clinic.
salon.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
My word, I'm so sorry.
It's
Your clinic.
okay. It's okay. Yeah. Of course, we're clinic slash natural hair salon too. So,
Okay.
but I do see a lot of thinning. I do. I see a lot of thinning, mainly here at the top. You can see a lot around the sides, of course, and you may see some line of demarcation alopecia in the back,
Okay.
where people are it could literally come from wearing of cotton or wool, especially in the wintertime. We don't
Okay.
think about it, that wearing that peacoat jacket or coat, or that favorite scarf that we love to wear all winter.
Mm,
It will literally, yes ma'am, it will eat the back of their hair out like it's nothing. Okay.
okay.
um those are the main things that I see a lot of, is the thinning, the thinning. And I have run across this disorder called trichotillomania.
Hmm.
And that is, of course, that's a mental disorder, where people like to pull. If you've ever been around somebody who just likes to pull their hair out, they'll pull it out. And I'm talking about eyelashes, hair off their arms, just hair anywhere on their bodies. But I do have a client that I've dealt with that had trichotillomania, and that's where she literally had pulled her hair,
Oh my goodness.
literally pulled her hair
Wow.
out. Yeah. So, and I'm talking about, it can be just unconscious, unconscious
Just
of
getting
doing it.
ready.
Just sitting there, probably watching TV, reading a book or anything, and just, snatching the hair out. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. We're going to have to find something else to do with your hands.
Okay.
Because you're doing something with your hands that shouldn't be you shouldn't be doing, and that's pulling your hair out, and it's causing you to have this, this go across the back or in the front or the sides or whatever, and you shouldn't have that. So yeah, there's a lot of things that's going on out here that we're really not aware of, but it's out. Yeah.
And I know that we could never get into every single thing in this conversation. So I just want to say to Black women, please take better care of your crown, whether it's your hair or your hair and your scalp. And if you don't have hair, definitely take care of your scalp. There may be a possibility of hair growing back. Again, go see Miss Shera. Book your consultation with her. So I'm going to put her information across the screen. And so that is her email address, anointedhands95@yahoo.com. Please reach out for a consultation, because again, there's so much more that we could really get into than we can get into in this discussion, because everybody's situation is totally different and they have different needs. But I do kind of want to go through, if we can, professional products versus drugstore / over-the-counter products. We see some products labeled as professional, like in Sally's and Walmart now, they're starting to carry things like, I'm a nail tech. And so we have had discussions in my little groups about, we're starting to see what was once professional products or license-only products. Now people have access to them in other stores. And so can you talk about some hair products that either are really professional grade, that are budget friendly, ones that we should just absolutely stay away from? Just kind of give us a rundown. And also in that conversation, let's talk about petroleum, because I've heard and read and seen videos. Yes, no, maybe, whatever. So however you want to dive into this.
Okay. Well, let's start with the products, store-bought versus professional. Okay. If you see products that you can buy in the beauty supply store, the professional beauty supply store, if you see those products in Walmart, mainly Walmart, Walgreens, or any of the drug stores like that, those are questionable. Okay. The ones that you see in stores like Walmart, because of course the prices of them may be a little bit higher. Okay. Yeah, there's a possibility that they're pricing them a little higher. And at the same time, even stores like little beauty supply stores that we have around, Sally's is they carry professional products. They do carry professional products. So I do believe that their products are pretty much the ones that I use. They're pretty legit. Okay. But the ones that they are carrying, like in Walmart, or say here, what we have here, TK's and other little beauty supply stores, those products are very well legit, but the pricing on them is a little bit pricey.
Okay.
Compared to what you can get them for at the beauty supply store, the professional beauty supply stores that we normally would go to, Cosmo, State Beauty, things like that. So we do have to be mindful of those. And a lot of times too, those products that are in Walmart, Walgreens, or what have you, they're basically watered down. They're not, they don't have the strength or the wherewithal that the other products, that the products that we normally would buy in the beauty supply, they don't have that. So it's like, and the manufacturers pretty much know what's going on. They're putting this stuff out there because, of course, if something didn't go right, so we're going to put these in Walmart and we're going to sell those in Walmart, or we're going to, those. That's what I've been seeing throughout the years. Because when I first saw professional products on the shelves in Walmart, the first thing came to my mind was something's wrong with that.
Wow.
That's the first thing came to my mind was, yeah, something's wrong with that.
Okay.
So yeah, so when it comes down to professional products, me personally, I use brands. I try to stick with ethnic or multicultural brands. Bronner Brothers. Bronner Brothers been around for quite some time. Of course, everybody's used to using the pump it up spritz. Okay. Well, you can go to the store and buy that all day long. But guess what? It got to a point to where you can go in the store and buy that same gold pump it up spritz, but then they'll have another bottle of the same pump it up spritz, but it's pink.
Okay.
It's pink. And I looked at this and I'm like, that's when I started to realize, okay, something's not right, because, and that's just in store. So of course I got hip to the actual professional side of Bronner Brothers. And that's what I use now is their professional line. They actually have a professional line and I love it. Like, I totally love their brand. Cura Care is a really good brand to use. And then Mazzani. Mazzani is a really good brand to use as well. Mazzani is a multicultural. I believe they were made by L'Oreal, or I believe. I think that's who developed them. But they're a multicultural brand, and they have some really good products when it comes down to natural hair. So those three alone, Cura Care, Bronner Brothers, and Mazzani are really good product lines. There's some others out there. Motions, of course. I never really been too big on motions. You can get motions basically anywhere, and that's not really good. When I started seeing motions being, put in the stores as well, I mean, because they make that right here at Unilever, I believe. So it's not something that I would just like to. I don't like to use it. I just don't. I've had my fair share of using, motions, but trying to think what are other products out there. There's so many. So many, especially when it comes down to natural hair. I mean, you got Carol's Daughters. You have I can't even name them all.
There's one I've used My Black is Beautiful before.
And I have some of that.
I know we hear about, black owned versus not black owned. And when I say you will drive yourself crazy trying to figure out which products are truly black owned. And okay, maybe you can help us with this. And I know everybody has their own opinion, and this is not to say, okay, do this, do that, but should we, I know we're in a space and time in our culture where we want to support black owned businesses and making sure our dollars are circulating within our community, but is it really possible to just get all or do only black, like, is it, or from your experience, somewhere down the line, maybe the company has some black faces, but somewhere down the line, when you get to the nitty gritty, the root, it's still not
somebody. Yeah, you got somebody else that's actually in it too. I mean, we don't know. If we're not a part of it ourselves, we have no idea who's the head of that chain. I mean, you really don't know unless you literally want to do that research and go in and really find out who's who. Is it totally black? Is it, is it? My thing is this: if you're going to support it. If not, then, don't. I mean, there's that thin line, of course. You have to really sit back and say, well, they say it's for black hair, but, I really don't. Let me check and see. If you choose
Mhm.
to do that, go in and really do the research. Well, you really have to do some digging to find out exactly what's going on. Because if I'm not mistaken, I want to say Madam C.J. Walker's product, and no telling how many hands it hadn't changed into since you see what I'm saying, since she did what she did.
Yeah.
So I mean, because I saw it. Where was it? Somebody was selling the after this show, the movie
Hmm.
or the series came out. They
Yes.
started selling it at J.C. Penney or somewhere. Somebody was selling the updated. Yes, yes. So somebody got their hands on it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Somebody got their hands on it and wanted to let's make it, let's improve it and let's put it back out there. But who knows who's doing that?
Yes. There was a story about, I want to say Carol's Doors. So someone correct me if I'm wrong. It started out as black owned, but as with most companies, they had to diversify. It was about revenue. They needed to make more money and spread their product into different markets, and so they brought in partners that weren't all black. And so, I mean, we have to look at it as it's a money thing. If we, and I'm gonna get on my soapbox for like 1 minute.
Okay.
If we don't support our own people, they're gonna have to find other ways to make money.
Of
That's just the
course.
bottom line. No one starts a business to go broke or starts a business just for fun.
Right.
They do something they love, like with your business. Yes, you love hair. You love the health of the scalp. You love educating people, but you want to make some money in the process as
Of
well.
course. Of
So
course.
if you had to bring in a partner one day, that's your business. Anyway,
Right. Yeah.
we
Yeah. It's real. It's real. I mean, we never know. Like you said, if we're not supporting each other in that way to the point to where we don't have to worry about going outside of our culture to get it done or to make it happen, then of course we can do it. We can do it together. We can stick together. And you have some cultures that actually do that. They stick with their own and they do what needs to be done. But a lot of
yeah,
times for us, we don't always do that. So of course we're stuck with doing just what you said, having to find somebody to help fund it because it takes money to make money.
yes, ma'am.
Whether you have to go dig it out the ground or go ask Uncle Sam for it.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. All right, so we're going to wrap up here because again, we could go so deep into this conversation when it comes to hair and
Yes.
scalp issues, and I'm going to, let you have some final words. But I have one more question though. I want to just ask real quick for those, and I've seen this going around about petroleum-based hair care products. So let's just, I don't want to say dispel the myth or just let's just crack that wide open. you know.
Well, here I guess I must have missed the memo on the
Okay.
petroleum.
Well, there's some videos on YouTube. Like I'm a YouTube person, and
Okay.
so I've been sleepless nights just watching videos. And so there's
Mhm.
some videos as Blue Magic is one of the more popular ones. Ultra Sheen,
Mhm.
Blue Magic, all those hair greases that we used to use. And so there's
Gotcha.
some videos saying you should not, if you're natural, you shouldn't use petroleum-based products because it clogs your hair, it blocks, yada yada. It's basically a sealant, and so it keeps anything from coming in or out. Okay, and then there's some videos, ladies were showing I use, grease on my hair for X number of days, weeks, months, whatever. Here are the results of how my hair looks. So there are people on both sides of the fence when it comes to petroleum-based hair products. From your experience, or what you've seen or studied, like is petroleum ultimately bad for our hair?
I'm not gonna say petroleum is actually bad for the hair. I feel, and this is just my opinion. I feel it's just the way that it's being used.
Okay.
Okay, because you have some petroleum-based products that can be used to help protect the hair from the heat. But at the same time, I do remember us, as especially being younger, mom would get
Yes,
the
ma'am.
grease, and grease our scalp with that grease. I mean, I'm talking about it, just clog it down or what
Mhm.
have you. Now that I've learned can be a problem
Okay.
because it does literally clog the follicles,
Mm,
especially if you're not shampooing and conditioning on a regular basis.
okay.
Because
Okay.
what happens is, okay, early part, say Sunday night, mom shampoos my hair and she greases my scalp, and she,
Okay.
she put my hair up in little ponytails or whatever. Well, Wednesday comes and my hair needs to be redone, but we're not getting a shampoo. We're just gonna just get it redone. So we're gonna get some more grease and we're gonna pile some more grease upon it.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Some stuff is just like, you think about it, you hadn't shampooed it. So of course it might be dirty.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's Wednesday now. And you put a lot of grease in it on Sunday. And here come Wednesday. We're not getting a shampoo on Wednesday. So we're just getting it just restyled. Yeah, we're just getting it restyled and putting some more grease in it. And basically that's more product to build up on the scalp.
Well,
So and the hair.
okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and that's where you said something earlier about clarifying shampoo.
Hmm.
Clarifying shampoo is a really good shampoo to have. You may see it as clarifying shampoo or cleansing shampoo.
Okay.
That's the shampoo that helps to strip all of the dirt and oils from the hair and scalp. It's really
Okay.
good to have. But you also need to come back behind it with a good moisturizing or conditioning shampoo.
Okay.
Because if you don't put the moisture or the conditioning back into the hair, then you're left with dry scalp and hair.
Honey, look, I could tell you some stories of the stuff that I've done in my hair, and
I can just imagine. Oh, I got
you,
some too.
you will beat me with a brush, honey. Like, oh my God. I can show you pictures, and you're like, you did that to your hair. Yes. And we
Mm,
thought I was cute at one point. I had
I
the
know what you
troll
mean.
color before I even knew much about bleaching. Oh my God. It was the whole bleaching the whole hair versus just bleaching the roots. So I have this candy corn colored hair. Like it was just a whole
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it was a whole mess. And then I wonder why my ends look like straw or they're stringy and they're girl. Anyway, yeah.
Yes, I get it. Yes, I
Oh
get it.
my God. I have pictures. I'm like, I'm gonna have to hold on to those to remind myself. And then another stupid thing that I did a relaxer and a bleach in this on the same.
Ooh, oh my
When I tell
gosh.
you
Well,
when I tell you my hair was like stuck and matted and just it felt literally like straw. I was like, that was the
mhm.
first time I just took scissors and said, forget it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we can do some crazy things to our scalps, hair and scalp. I know I've been there, wanting to be cute, wanting to make sure that my hair was, where it needed to be when all the time I had an issue one time where my scalp was already irritated from wearing maybe a weave or something. And then I wanted to color it. I put a
Ooh.
color on it. And after I put that color on it, when I tell you my scalp oozed literally for days, just oozed, just it was inflamed. It was, I mean, I infected my scalp because it was already inflamed or irritated. And I turn around and I put something else on it that caused it to be even more irritated. And I end up with contact dermatitis. See, there's so many different things out there that we don't realize. We be doing some crazy stuff.
Ooh, honey. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
That's why I'm very cautious now. It's part of the reason why I cut my hair this time, because it was like I just can't do it anymore. Wearing the weaves, you know, the last weave I had, I think I might have had it up a week. It seemed like it tried to literally overtake my brain, and I just couldn't do it. Yeah.
No.
And do you know, it's a lot of women that do that. They will literally allow themselves to go through that like that. And I mean, it's unnecessary. Unnecessary. No more.
Alrighty. Well, as we close, 'cause I'm gonna share no more of my horror stories, but as we get ready to close, can you please, give us some final words? I would say words of encouragement, but just some, I don't know, fuss if you have to, some final words, and tell people how to reach you and why they should come see you.
Well, I just want to say this. If you are having issues with your hair and scalp and you don't have anybody to help you to figure out exactly what's going on, get here. There's a lot of stylists out here. Don't let me, I don't want to down anybody, but there's not a lot of stylists that's going to actually care for the hair and scalp the way it should be taken care of. A lot of people don't care for the integrity of the hair. So they're left with just basically, we're going to cut it, when all the time it doesn't need to be cut. It just needs to be cared for, things like that. So if you know that you're dealing with some issues with your hair and your scalp, come see me, give me a call or send me an email. My number is 870-819-6556. You guys give me a call and we can sit down and set up a consultation and talk about what needs to be done, be it cosmetologically or trichologically. I do two things here. This is a hair loss clinic / natural hair salon. So we can come together and get some things or make some things happen for you if you want the help. But if you're not serious about getting some help, just pass the information along to somebody else who might be. And that's where I am.
All right. I know I'm going to be coming to see you soon because this hair, there were times when I wanted to cut it. Like when I go through my 6 spells, I'm not able to care for it much. And it does get matted in the back. And I'm like, I'm just going to get an undercut and I've been tempting, like for the past 3 weeks, I'm like, I'm going to do an undercut on myself. I'm like, that's not going to be cute. No. And then I'm like, it took me over 2 years to grow my hair back out from almost your length. So I'm like, I don't want to lose any more hair. So yeah, I need a stylist I need somebody else's hands to do this hair.
Right. I got you. Just let me know whenever you're ready.
Oh gosh, I can't tell you how much I thank you for giving me your time. Today, ladies, care for your crown. Whether you have a lot of hair, a little hair, or no hair. You have to care for your crown, ladies and gentlemen. We don't want to leave the men out. Men don't
want to leave the men out. Yes.
So men, ladies, and children, we definitely, and let's take care of our babies' hair early, please, because we don't want them to become adults with issues.
That's a whole nother issue. We're gonna have to do another show because I tell you.
Oh gosh. I see people doing the baby's hair and they pull their braids so tight. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. The things I've seen behind that. Oh yeah.
Oh goodness. Well, I can't thank you enough for joining me today. And so this has been wonderful, and we would definitely have another conversation. And maybe we could have a specific conversation about a specific, a conversation about a specific issue and break down and hopefully show some pictures and things like that. You can really know what's what. So
that'd be great.
Well, thank you so very much. And thank you everyone for tuning in to this Q Spot podcast. Don't forget to be intentional with your words, your thoughts, and your actions. Join the Q crew so you don't miss a beat. And as always, pink sugar kisses. Thank you for watching the Q Spot Podcast video edition. Don't forget to join the Q crew so you don't miss a beat. Follow, like, share, and subscribe to all of my social media platforms and the major podcast platforms. And as always, pink sugar kisses. Mwah.